Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. My name is Daniel, and I recently left bustling Boston to start a new life in the quiet town of Lakeview. Ever since my wife Laura passed away 2 years ago, I've been struggling to cope with her loss, and moving seemed like the only solution. The first few days here felt like the pages of an old novel I had long abandoned. On my first evening in Lakeview, my new neighbors, James and Elizabeth, invited me over for dinner. Their home was cozy, filled with warmth and happiness. We sat at the table, enjoying the aromas of homemade food, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly at peace. Elizabeth smiled and offered to show me their family album. "Daniel, you love photography, don't you? We have some old photos that might interest you." Her voice was warm and genuine. "Of course, I'd love to see them," I replied, unaware that my life was about to change forever. Flipping through the pages of the album, I enjoyed seeing their happy moments captured on film. And then I saw her. On one of the old photographs was my wife, Laura, who had died 2 years ago. She stood there holding a small child I didn't recognize. My heart stopped, and I felt the world around me crumble. "James, Elizabeth, who is this?" I barely managed to ask, pointing to the photograph, feeling tears well up in my eyes. They exchanged glances, and James spoke, his voice full of regret and understanding. "Daniel, it's a long story. Laura was my wife before you met. We separated when our son Michael was still an infant. Laura left Michael with her aunt and moved to Boston, where she met you. We were married for 3 years before we broke up." I was stunned. Laura, my Laura, whom I loved more than life itself, had hidden a whole chapter of her life from me. Elizabeth continued, her voice trembling with emotion. "After her death, James found Michael through mutual friends and brought him home. Laura left behind letters and diaries mentioning you, expressing hope that he would find happiness despite her secrets." Tears streamed down my face. I had never known about her past, and now the pieces of my life's puzzle began to fall into place. Elizabeth gently placed a hand on my shoulder. "We understand how hard this must be," she said softly, "but you're not alone, Daniel." The next day, James and Elizabeth invited me for a walk around the neighborhood. We went to the lake where Michael was playing with other kids. Watching him, my heart filled with mixed emotions: love, sorrow, and hope. "Daniel, we know this is a lot to take in," James began, his voice kind and concerned. "Michael needs support. Maybe you could stay for a while?" I nodded, still processing everything. "I'll give it a try. I think we all need time to understand this." The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the serene landscape. As we walked back, Elizabeth pointed to an old, abandoned farmhouse in the distance. "That place gives me the creeps," she said, shivering slightly. "There are so many rumors about it being haunted or used for some shady activities." James chuckled, but there was an edge to his laughter. "It's just an old house, but it does have its stories. Maybe one day, Daniel, you'll want to explore it, being new in town and all." I smiled, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling their words gave me. Little did I know that this seemingly peaceful town of Lakeview held more secrets than I could ever imagine, and that abandoned farmhouse would soon become a central part of my journey into Laura's hidden past. As we neared their home, Elizabeth suddenly stopped and looked me straight in the eyes. "Daniel, there's something you need to know," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's better we talk about it tomorrow. Just stay safe tonight." Her words lingered in my mind as I walked back to my new house, the shadows of Lakeview growing longer in the twilight. My new beginnings were already starting to feel more complex than I had anticipated, with mysteries and revelations lurking just beneath the surface. In the weeks that followed, I found solace in the routine of my new life. Michael and I grew closer with each passing day. Our time together ranged from playful afternoons at the park to quiet evenings with homemade dinners. But beneath the surface of our newfound family dynamic, the shadow of Laura's past lingered, leaving me with unanswered questions. One Saturday evening, after a particularly joyful day spent playing catch with Michael, I was returning home when I encountered a stranger. He was tall, with a harsh expression and cold eyes. He introduced himself as Victor, and his presence sent an immediate shiver down my spine. "You must be Daniel," Victor said, his voice carrying an unsettling edge. I've heard a lot about you. Think you know everything about your late wife. Confusion and wariness gripped me. What are you talking about? Victor's smirk widened. Laura and I were closer than you might imagine. She had secrets. Secrets I'm sure you'd like to uncover. With those cryptic words, Victor left me with more questions than answers. I decided to confide in James and Elizabeth, who had become my closest allies in this new chapter of my life. Victor, that man is trouble, James said, his face darkening. He's been a thorn in our side for years. Laura tried to escape his influence, but he never let go. Elizabeth added, he's known for his manipulative ways. Be careful, Daniel. He has a way of getting under your skin. A few days later, as if my unease wasn't enough, I received a mysterious envelope in the mail. Inside was a key and a note scrawled in hasty handwriting. Come to the old abandoned farm, Victor. Despite the warning, my curiosity got the better of me. I ventured to the dilapidated farmhouse, the setting sun casting long shadows over the overgrown grounds. Victor was waiting, a dark figure against the fading light. This, he said, handing me an old, leather-bound diary, is Laura's. It contains everything you need to know about her past, but beware, the truth can be dangerous. As Victor's figure faded into the dusk, I clutched the diary tightly. Returning home, I opened it with trembling hands. Laura's handwriting filled the pages, detailing her turbulent past, her departure from James, and the threats Victor had made against her. James, we need to talk, I said, bursting into their home, diary in hand. Victor's been blackmailing Laura. He knows things about her that could change everything. James' face grew serious. We need to act quickly. If Victor is involved, there's no telling what he might do next. The following day, I found myself in the midst of an urgent plan. James and I contacted the authorities, explaining Victor's threats and the diary's contents. We arranged a sting operation to catch Victor in the act. On the day of the sting, as I waited nervously in the shadows of my home, my heart raced. I heard the unmistakable creak of the door. Victor entered, but this time, he was met by the police. You've been caught, Victor, one officer said as Victor's face contorted with anger and defeat. Once Victor was taken away, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. James placed a reassuring hand on my back. You did the right thing, Daniel, he said. We can finally put this chapter behind us and focus on what truly matters. The following morning, Michael and I strolled through the park. His innocent eyes held a mixture of hope and fear as he asked, Will you be my dad? In that tender moment, I knew my place. I hugged him tightly and whispered, Yes, I'll be your dad, Michael. Our lives began to shift into a new rhythm. The shadows of the past gradually receded, replaced by moments of joy and connection. With James and Elizabeth by our side, we forged a new beginning, transforming Lakeview into a place where happiness and family could thrive once again. The aftermath of Victor's arrest brought a fragile peace to Lakeview, but my mind remained restless. As I settled into my new life, the secrets of Laura's past loomed large. One crisp autumn afternoon, I decided to revisit Laura's old home, the place where we had discovered the hidden compartment in her study desk. James and Elizabeth had been a great support, but I needed to find more answers on my own. As I carefully went through the remnants of Laura's life, I uncovered a box marked Laura's keepsakes. Inside were faded photographs, letters, and a small jewelry box containing a locket with a picture of Laura and a baby, Michael, when he was just an infant. My heart raced. The locket was a poignant reminder of the secrets Laura had kept, and I felt a surge of determination to understand her choices. Just then, James and Elizabeth arrived, having sensed my growing unrest. Daniel, you've been quiet lately, Elizabeth said gently. We're here for you. Is there something more you need to know? I nodded, holding up the locket. I found this in Laura's keepsakes. It's a reminder of how much we still don't know. There's got to be more to her story. James took a deep breath. Laura had reasons for keeping secrets. There's a chance she left behind more clues. You should check the old desk in her study. She'd always kept important things there. We went to Laura's old home together. The desk, now dusty and neglected, held the same hidden compartment we had found before. This time, we discovered a stack of letters tied with a ribbon addressed to me. As I read the letters, my hands trembled. Laura's words revealed a complex and heart-wrenching truth. She had left James and moved to Boston not only to escape Victor's control, but also because Michael was not James' biological child. Laura had conceived Michael with another man, a detail she had never disclosed to James. I had to protect Michael from the fallout of this truth, Laura's letter read, and from the pain it would cause James. I wanted to give him a fresh start, away from the complications of his origins. James, who had been quietly reading over my shoulder, looked up with a mixture of shock and sadness. "So, Michael isn't my son," he said softly, his voice breaking. "All this time, I thought I was his father." Elizabeth placed a comforting hand on James' shoulder. "Laura made those choices to protect both you and Michael. It's a painful truth, but it's part of the story we need to understand." James' expression was one of deep contemplation. "I need to process this. I want to make sure Michael knows he's loved, regardless of the circumstances." With the letters providing a harsh but necessary clarity, I felt a mixture of relief and sadness. Laura's choices had been driven by a desire to protect, even if they had led to painful revelations. We decided to focus on what was ahead, knowing that understanding the past was crucial for healing. As we left the old home, the weight of Laura's secrets seemed lighter, replaced by a determination to build a future filled with honesty and love. As the weeks passed, the revelations about Laura's past began to settle into place. Michael and I were gradually finding our rhythm, and Lakeview started to feel more like home. With the burden of the past partially lifted, we looked forward to creating new memories. James and Elizabeth organized a gathering in their backyard to celebrate this new chapter. The atmosphere was light, filled with the scent of grilled food and the cheerful laughter of children. Michael, surrounded by new friends, played with an enthusiasm that warmed my heart. Elizabeth approached me with a plate of food. "Daniel, I'm so glad to see you and Michael settling in. How are things going?" "We're adjusting well," I said with a smile. "Michael seems to be enjoying himself, and I'm starting to feel more at home." James joined us, holding a glass of lemonade. "I'm glad to hear that. We and Michael have come a long way. This celebration is for all of us, to mark the beginning of something positive." As the evening progressed, the gathering took on a more personal tone. Elizabeth called everyone to gather around the fire pit, where we shared stories and toasted to new beginnings. The warmth of the fire mirrored the growing closeness between us. Later that night, as the guests began to leave, Michael tugged on my sleeve. "Can we talk for a minute?" "Of course, buddy," I said, leading him to a quiet corner. Michael looked up at me with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. "I've been thinking a lot about everything. Even though things were tough, I'm really glad you're here with me. I feel like we're a real family now." My heart swelled with emotion. "Michael, we are a family. We faced a lot together, but we're stronger for it. I'm grateful for every moment we share." As we embraced, I felt a profound sense of peace. Despite the difficulties we had faced, we were building something new and beautiful. Lakeview had transformed from a place of uncertainty into a home where love and understanding thrived. The next morning, as Michael and I walked through the park, I felt a renewed sense of hope. The past, though challenging, had paved the way for a brighter future. With James and Elizabeth's support, and Michael's trust guiding us, we were ready to embrace this new family dynamic. The journey from uncertainty to belonging was complete. Our new family was not just a collection of individuals, but a tapestry of shared experiences and mutual support. Lakeview had become a place where we could build our future, cherishing each moment and facing whatever came next together.